Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. Greeting from the e-learning center of Department of Business Administration once again. And right now we are in our new session today, and we will start a new chapter also. And right now I want to share with you some crucial informations. Right now the governments are sharing with you already. The different sector of our government always give you the right information, I believe. So based on that information, the number of areas are not very good, are not safe. So you have to recognize those areas and will have to be there. Without any emergency, don't go outside. So one thing is very interesting to us in this situation. Right now we are facing a pandemic situation, and in this situation we will have a kind of impact right now we are facing. And that impact that always in our life, that ICT has very influential things, and it is right now is very relevant to our education. We are taking online education, and e-learning is one of the important part of the e-learning center. And ICT's knowledge is quite important for the students to go through. You need to be connected, you need high powerful internet connection, and also you need different types of gadgets, laptops. So you have to be very smart about the issues, and we already talked about earlier in the classroom that always try to be smart in your professional life. So I think this experience will help you in your future career to be smart also. In your professional life you need the ICT knowledge also, very importantly. So I believe this is the way that you will be experienced, and also you will learn the basic and fundamental knowledge of the computer science and also the information system. So we will not prolong these things for a long time, because I will just want to share my experience that this ICT knowledge is quite important, that what you are learning right now. So I believe that you have to learn these things and also other additional things, so that your professional life will be very enriched. So let's start with our new things today, and that is the employee. We talked about the employee grievance, we talked about the employee discipline. Right now we will also talk about that how employee will be face, or how employee will get the freedom in the organization, and that the industrial democracy is another celestial part of our discussion today. And first we will have to learn what is industrial democracy. So students, let's start and take your pen and paper. So if you want some notes, that during the lectures maybe you will have to have some queries, and we can settle down that problem through the review session later on. Okay, so start with industrial democracy. So what is industrial democracy? Industrial democracy, in that sense, I think you need to understand first what is the democracy. So already we talked about the number of areas and subjects of the democracy from your schooling. So the different classes you learned about the democracy, that democracy where you have the right to share your information, you have the right to give your opinion, there will be a freedom of association. So there will be a right to give your own vote. So you will have all the rights and all the privileges to talk about the issues of the government. So this is the area that democracy in our country, the democracy is very crucial, and we are very popular about our democracy in the world. So it is also reflecting in our different industries that sometimes democracy is required. Without democracy, the industrial relationship will not go a very very good way. So what we need basically, we need the sober relationship, congenial relationship between the employer and employees. So the democracy can take this or ensure these things in the organizations perfectly. So what is a formal definition of democracy? In the industrial democracy is one kind of industrial arrangements where the workers make decisions, share their information, and also their authority in the organization. So what is the idea here? The main information is that is an arrangement by the organization. They will share their information, their responsibility, their authority with the organization, and also the organization gives some relevant duties and tasks to the employees, and the employees are taking it in a normal way, and they are sharing all the information with the organization. This is the way that you will have to give some freedom. Employers will have to give some kind of delegation of authority to the organizational employees so that they can learn how to be organized. So this is a democracy in the organization, how you can ensure the democracy in the organization. So let's talk about the next topic today, that is the objectives of industrial democracy. So what is the main intention and the purpose of industrial democracy? So what do you know about the democracy? Already we talked about the democracy. If you want to know more other information, relevant information, so I think you have to search online, you can go online and you can ask to Uncle Google. I talked about the Uncle Google earlier in the classes. What about the Uncle Google? So Uncle Google is is basically nothing, just an search engine of the Google, because if you demand anything to your uncles, normally uncles is not giving or let you down. So I think Google is playing the role of uncle in that sense. So very crucial for your life also. Apart, the uncle is playing when you are in your social life. So I think you can ask the Uncle Google that what about the industrial democracy. Then the Google will give you the information, they'll give you the different links, so you can find out the other information about the industrial democracy. Okay, so now we will be in a state to understand what is the reason, what is the important objectives of the industrial democracy in the organization, why the organization needs or employee needs democracy in the organization. The first reason behind the industrial democracy is to create a sense of belongingness of the workers to the organization. So we talked about a lot of things earlier in the democracy, that you have to think about free, you have to talk about you will have the right to say something in the organization. So what about these issues is quite relevant things that we already talked about, that to create a sense of belongingness. A sense of belongingness is a kind of approach that organizations are believing that workers are working in the organizations once they are coming in the organization, but they are not feeling that they are in the organization. They are not feeling that the organization is just giving the salary and then I'm giving the service only. This is not the sense of belongingness. Sense of belongingness is one of the way that you will have an affection towards your organization. The employee will feel, employee will have some sense, the employee will have some kind of feelings for the organizations. Once you are in a family, once you are in an area and you are staying at that area for a long time, you will have, or you will grow some kind of affection for love, also some kind of feelings for that people or the area where you are living. And then that is called the sense of belongingness, that you are living and then you are having you will develop a area, a sense that yes, I will have to belong and I belong in this family. So this is the sense you will have to have also in the organization, that when you are working in the organization, you will have a sense that I belong to the organization, I'm working in this organization. So if you create these things, if you want to create the sense of that workers in the organization, you will have to ensure that industrial democracy should be there. Otherwise, worker will not feel for you, or they will not feel these things like that. So second thing is also quite relevant in our discussion today, that to improve a sense of commitment. So another thing is that sense of commitment. So why is the main word, is the keyword is the commitment. So what's the meaning of that commitment? According to dictionary, English dictionary, that this is a devotion. This is a one kind of feelings that employees are always be committed to the work. So what about the commitments to organizational objectives, plan, activities among the employees? It means that organizations are developing different plan, objectives, short-term activities, and then employee will be committed to achieve those targets. And if you want to be, or if you want to improve, or if you want to develop this commitment of the workers in the organization, I think also industrial democracy will be important part to play. So this is not that much difficult to understand. So next is to satisfy the psychological needs of the employee. So this is another part of our industrial democracy, that if you want to ensure the industrial democracy, I think the psychological needs of the employee will another important part to play. So what is the psychological needs? Psychological needs, every needs is important to us. We talked about the Maslow's need hierarchy, and already we talked about the number of needs earlier, that if you want to be a very if you want to motivate the workers perfectly, so you need to satisfy the basic needs and the other needs also. So this is the one of the things that already we talked about, the psychological needs, that it is related to your mental and psychological aspects of the employee to satisfy that. So for example, that sometimes workers need some participation, workers need some kind of achievements, some kind of affiliation, or that we talked about the number of things or number of needs earlier in the organizations earlier, that when the organizational people working in the or in other area or any other area, they need some kind of achievements in their life. So if you satisfy those needs, then I think industrial democracy can take place. Because if the industrial democracy is there, it means that employees are giving assignments, employers giving chance of participation, employees are giving chance to talk about in the board of meeting, and they will share their informations to the employers, and then it will be one kind of satisfaction. Employees are taking that, yes, management is thinking about that, they are very good, they are very working hard, and then if they are satisfying with those issues, and they will be satisfied that their psychological needs are being recognized by the employers, I think it will be quite interesting, and also very important that they will believe the employers, and they will work as committed workers also in that case. So I think industrial democracy will work and will ensure those psychological needs of the employee, and that will satisfy the human needs also. So the last one is to respect the human dignity of the employee. So I think as you know that every human being, they have several separate entity. They are not think about that the people should be respected, and then they have their own dignity, they have their own honesty, they want some respect from the employers also. So I think if the industrial democracy is working properly, employer will give you the chance to to satisfy these needs also. It means that employees want some respect, and the employers are giving respects. So that's why workers are being recognized, and every human being, they will have some different types of values and culture they are coming, and then I think you have to respect those areas of the human being. So once you ensure the industrial democracy in the organization, I think it will be working nice for the workers. So this is all about our industrial democracy, the relevant objectives. So already we talked about that, what is the reason and why industrial democracy is relevant and also crucial, and also it is rational for our discussion as a student of business in future. So the next topic is the benefits of industrial democracy. What are the main benefits, or the the things that industrial democracy will give us? What are the the area that how the employees or the organization can be benefited or get good result from the industrial democracy? So what are the main areas of their advantages? So first one, the less industrial dispute less industrial dispute resulting from better communication between the management and staff. So if there is a democracy, industrial democracy, I think there will be no disruption, there will be no conflict, there will be no grievances. So every person will be in a better situation, that they will have to communicate with the people, the workers will communicate with the management will share their information to the other people, and then if the democracy is there, so there will be less chance of having conflict in the organization. Very simple. As you know that we have to use examples in the organizational examples in the examination. So I think teachers are very much interested to you have to write down some examples in the examination. So I think use relevant examples, that how you can use the industrial democracy, and how it will improve the communication between the employers and employees. So industrial democracy, you can have a better communication. How it can be a better communication? So for example, that how it will be how it will improve the communication, that if the employees are giving if employees are are being treated as an part of the board of directors. So for example, sometimes already we talked about earlier, that if they are giving chance to participate in the board of meeting, and they are giving some advice to the managements, and managements are taking the advice very seriously, and later on they implement those things, maybe it can be a very good way that employees are feeling that yes, employees the communication will be better, because the policies are taking based on the suggestion, the policies are making based on the recommendation by the workers. So it can be an example of better communication, and that will improve the industrial democracy. So the next is improved decision making process, resulting the higher quality decision. So another relevant part of our discussion, and that how the industrial democracy give, or the we will be benefited from the industrial democracy, how it can be possible. So next issue, that it will have an impact on our decision making process, because as you know that when you are taking decision, you are giving, or you are taking some or developing some alternatives. So when you are giving or developing alternatives, so you have to think about and collect different informations or the data from the different sources. So workers and also the employees are one of the important parts to get the right and valid informations from the policies. And when you are making some corporate decision, the workers can be an important part, because they are also one of the important part of, or one of the important part, or as that already talked about, that the stakeholders. Okay, so they are also the part of the stakeholders, so they are also giving, or they are giving the right information. So it can be very easy way that you can improve your decision making process when you are introduce the industrial democracy in the organization, because as you give the chance to workers to participate in the organization, they are simultaneously, the management and the workers are take decision. As you know, already we talked about that earlier, it can be an example of management by objectives. MBO can be an example of how you can improve your decision making process in this scenario. The next issue that you can increase creativity, enthusiasm, and commitment. So this is another better, these points are quite self-explained points, so I think you not to be much worry about the issues. That I'm just only give you the meaning of that, the creativity, that you can improve the, you can bring new ideas in the reality, and you will be a very enthusiastic, or the committed workers in the organization, and you will create this kind of quality in the organization if you ensure industrial democracy. So next is a lower stress and increased well-being. So people will be very good and they will have less stress. The life will be very healthier. As you know that we are right now not having we are very concerned about the reality right now, so people are also very concerned about the organization, so you have to give the safe place right now, I think. But industrial democracy, on the other hand, right now people are having, if they will have some kind of democracy in the organization, there will be less stress, because people will work without any stress, and there will be not impact on your health. So better use of time and resources. So this is another part of the benefits of the industrial democracy, that when you have the democracy, that people will use the time and resources perfectly, because employees will feel that they will have a sense of belongingness, and they will feel for the organization, and they will use the resources what they are being provided, and that will be a very important things in your life. Next is improved productivity, including service delivery. So this is the way that how you can increase the productivity. As you see that there will be a participation, there will be a communication, better communication, you will respect the people, so you will respect the workers. So it is a by default point that the productivity will be improved, and productivity will be very much increased in that sense. Next is a increased job satisfaction, resulting in the reduced absenteeism. This is a two important area, or the issues has been highlighted here. One is the job satisfaction, another is absenteeism. Absenteeism, we talked about the absenteeism earlier chapter. We talked about the absenteeism, that people remain absent, and it makes a habit that always they remain absent in the organization. So it will reduce definitely, but if there is an better democracy, then the employees will also be satisfied, because they are you are satisfying the need of the people, and then employee will be satisfied further. The last part of this discussion or this topic is the improved personal fulfillment and the self-esteem. So this is an important part of our discussion, that already talked about that we have another issue already we talked about, that Maslow's need hierarchy theory, and one of the important needs that already in the Maslow's identified in the model of the motivational model of the individual, that self-esteem, that people will feel some kind of privileges, that once they have some benefits in their life, so they are trying to feeling that I want some I'm having the respect, I want some respect, I want some place in the organization. So if there will be an democracy, if the employees are giving powers, if the employees are provided all the facilities, and then I think employees' self-esteem needs can be satisfied. And also the personal improvements, there will be an improvement, that how you can improve the peoples in the organization. This is another area. Okay, that is in end of this part, and also if you have any question later on, we can discuss these things in our review session. Next will be the types of industrial democracy. This is very important for your national university examination, so try to understand. There is not much, so around 6 or 7 parts of the industrial democracy. First, the industrial democracy at the board meeting. Okay, this is quite interesting things that sometimes organizations are giving you chance to talk about the issues in the board meeting. So this is a very important participation, the types of democracy. So we are talking about the participation. All the types are related with the participation first. Why? So reason behind that, the industrial democracy is, once you are trying to ensure the democracy, you have to participate. You have to give them that employees a scope of participation, a kind of decision making process where you will give the chance to talk about the issues. So once you are giving the people or try to participate, give the people a participation or scope of participation, I think it will improve the democracy. So that's why this is one of the types of democracy that always you have to give them the workers. So the first form of the industrial democracy, that you will give the workers a chance to talk about the issues or their demand or their suggestions or recommendation in the board meeting, so that the top level management can understand, yes, they have these things and they have their feelings, they have their own understanding, and then you are respecting this. So this can be in types of industrial democracy. But sometimes is that all the workers are not getting this chance, because it can be an example that sometimes the a better employees who is very productive, who is very very important, and their organizations are feeling that these employees are very good for us, so these employee can be participated in this discussion. So I think this is not for all the employees. Basically, this is employees who are very contributing to the development of the organization, and they can give a very good suggestion for the organization. Those employee can be given this chance to be participate in the organization. So this is one of the important forms of democracy. Participation through ownership. So I think this is right now in general way, if you are thinking about the global organizations or international business, if you think about the multinational business, people are being participated, are giving this chance to be the owner of the organization in the form of giving some stock ownership plan. So like we can have an example here. I will give you the example later on. First, you have to understand how the organization can give the ownership to the employees. So sometimes employees are given ownership by giving shares, because the employees are contributing for the development for the organization for a long time, and he's working for a longer period of time, and with a very honesty, and they are having some reflection on the ethics in the organizations. They are developing the different areas of the organization. Then the owners and the top level managements are thinking that, yes, I think we should give them some ownership, so that he or she can feel that some privileges and some power in the organization. So this can be an example that I'll give an example, and that example is the equal employee stock ownership plan. That is employee stock ownership plan. So what can be an example? So you can write down example here, that employee stock ownership plan. This is sometimes organizations are making a plan, a package, that employees are giving some stock, and that will be the ownership plan. So under this plan, ownership plan, employees are giving stock, okay, a stock, and this is a plan. Under this plan, the employees are giving stock, and that employees are giving stock. So this is a employee stock ownership plan. So it can be an example that how the employees are right now be the owners of the organization. So I think you can use this example for your future references. So now we are moving towards our another part or form of industrial democracy, and that is participation through joint consultation and committee. Sometimes organizations are giving some chance or giving a scope to the people to talk about the issues in a joint council, that they will form a council and meeting committees where the peoples are thinking that this group of people can they will be organized and they will form a meeting, and then this is the way that they will give some suggestion, recommendation to the organization that how the organization can go for further expansion or further investment. So I think these committees and joint council can give you the better recommendation. So this is one of the form of democracy, that employees are being given some chance to be to recommend or to form a committee where they will lead the others and they will try to reflect their own decision. They are trying to give their own suggestion, and employers are taking those suggestions. This is one of the important kind of way that they will talk about the issues freely. So this is it can be an example like that. Sometimes organizations making some kind of pay commission, commission that they will give some suggestion, that recruitment committee, and also they are using some joint counseling council related to their some plan developing some plan. And this is the way that it can be an example of participation through joint council and committees. The next form is a participation through collective bargaining. So another way that the employees are being given chance that they will bargain collectively. They can bargain with the employers related to their matters. So this is another way that they can talk about the issues. And already we talked about earlier in the chapters that collective bargaining is a process where you can improve your bargaining power, and you can improve your working areas, and also you can develop some facilities. You can get some facilities where workers are not getting they are not getting the benefits properly. Then in that sense they can talk about the issues in the form of collective bargaining. So this is another form of industrial democracy, if the workers are being given a chance to bargain with the management. So this is another form of participation and also democracy. So next is the participation through job enlargement and enrichment. Two different form, two different types of important information, and then the participation that employs sometimes. First, we have to understand what is enlargement and enrichment. Already we talked about the issues earlier in the human resources management already in the 7th semester. I think you have fair knowledge about the job enlargement and enrichment, but still I think you need to, sometimes some students are still confused. So I'll give you some briefing about the job enlargement and enrichment. So job enlargement means that you are giving some more responsibilities in your task and duties. So for example, once you are being hired as an employee, you are giving some task and responsibility in your daily life. So once you are performing, right now that you are performing 5 different tasks daily, and later on you are giving say for example later month or later year you are giving another 7 or 8 tasks in addition to 5 tasks. In total that you have 10 to or more than 10 tasks and duties you have to perform later on. So it can be a way that your task is enlarging. So this is an enlargement. But sometimes organizations, they are not in a number, they are not increasing your task or duties, but still they are trying to improve the duty and task. It means that once you are doing the task, it means that they will add some meaningful task and also some improved task and valid task. So for example, this is not that you are doing a normal task, you are doing quite relevant or important tasks and duties in the organizations. Earlier you were performing 5 tasks, right now you are performing also 5 tasks, but the current 5 task is more meaningful or more important or more top level management related activities than the previous 5 ones. So in a number it is not increasing, but in a quality it is improving. This is an enrichment. But earlier, the first one is the job enlargement, that the number of tasks is increasing. The meaningful or not meaningful, this is not a matter. So this is the way that you can be given some responsibility in this way, that how you can improve the task in the organization. So this is another form of suggestion, and also the way that you can improve your you can ensure the democracy in the organization. The last part of our discussion of this topic is that the employees participation through suggestion scheme, that you will give some suggestion through to the management, so that the employees betterment, the management can perform certain activities, so that the workers can give suggestion, and that can be another way that employees democracy can be ensured in the organization. So this is the way that I think it can be an example of the sometimes organization form some some group of people, that they will encourage the group of people that you come and then you talk about the problems related to the any matter. So then the group of people can go to the top level managers, and then they give some suggestion related to the development of the organization. It can be a way that panel sometimes organizations are giving some suggestions. So I think this is quite important to us. So that is the end of today's lecture also. So if you have any question relevant to our lecture, I think you can ask this question or your questions later on in our Zoom session. And I think already we talked about a couple of issues in this lecture today. And hopefully, in a nutshell, that industrial democracy, if you think about the industrial democracy, I think this is one of the important part of our industrial relationship. You can maintain better relationship if you can ensure better or proper industrial relationship in our organization. So I believe that it is quite relevant things in our life also. So we talked about a lot of things earlier in this topic or in these chapters, and also the previous chapters. So study hard, and I think after that pandemic situation, you can straight go to the national university examination. So and there then professional career and the life is waiting for you. So this situation will not prolong in future, because if you think about that, last couple of centuries back, there are a number of pandemic situation already we had, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also eradicate those problems, and also we are right now in a normal situation we are facing. So I think inshallah it will be also not prolong in long run. So maybe you can also get your your normal life in future, but sometimes it takes some time. So this is a big opportunity for you to get yourself professionally developed, and I think this is a fair chance that you can learn some information related to the technology and also your professional life, that because computer information system and communication system is quite important for us in our day-to-day life. So I think this is the fair chance you can, if you can enjoy this way. Thank you very much for this session today.